My name is Daryl. I'd like to welcome you to Volume 1 of this very special L&L Publishing video series. I'm going to show you literally hundreds of different sleight of hand techniques, but I might as well tell you at the very beginning, I'm not exactly going to show you every single move that's ever been created. Quite honestly, some of them are not so good, some of them are pretty old and outdated, and also, I don't happen to know every move that's ever been invented. I do know hundreds of moves, and I'd like to share those with you. If you've ever had the dream of performing masterful sleight of hand with playing cards, I think you're in for a treat. Now, if you've ever been frustrated trying to learn difficult sleight of hand moves from a book or poorly written instructions in lecture notes or magazines, you're in for a pleasant surprise. You see, my goal is to demonstrate and then to teach you a wide variety of these special techniques that are used to create magical effects with playing cards. In other words, card tricks. Now, the wonderful thing about video is you actually get to see the technique performed. This will also be very helpful when it comes time to learn the technique yourself. Now, over the years, I've learned hundreds of moves, and I've had the pleasure of sharing these techniques with magicians all over the world. They, in turn, have shared their secrets with me. So right now, we're going to have ourselves a magical move marathon. Now, some of these moves are very easy. You'll learn them in just a few short minutes. Other techniques might take hours and hours and hours of practice and dedication. Now, obviously, I have no way of knowing whether you're a beginner or a more advanced student, so what I'm going to do is play it safe. We're going to start at the very, very beginning. First, I'd like to talk about a few terms having to do with playing cards in general. This is a playing card. This is the face of the card, or the front side. That's the side that tells you what it is. All of the cards are different so that you can tell them apart. These are the index corners, the upper left and the lower right from the performer's point of view. And these are the spots, or the pips. This is a non-bordered deck. Other decks are bordered, like this, has a white border. The non-bordered, or the overall pattern on the back, is very good for concealing sleight of hand moves. The white border deck is particularly good for reversing cards. If you have a card secretly face up in the deck, it's very hard to see, whereas if you have a card face up or secretly reversed in an all-over non-bordered deck, it's very easy to spot. So you have to be very, very careful. There are 4 different suits in the deck. These are diamonds, these are spades, there's clubs, and hearts. There are 13 values in each suit: the ace, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These are known as spot cards or number cards. These are the court cards, or the face cards, or picture cards: jacks, queens, and kings. Also, most decks have 1 or 2 jokers, sometimes a regular joker and an extra joker, but sometimes in Europe, they have 3 jokers. These are the various deck positions. If the deck is face down, this would be, of course, face up. This is the front end, or the outer end, away from the performer. This would be the inner end, or the end closest to the performer, the left side and the right side, the top of the deck, the bottom of the deck, also the face of the deck. So if a setup requires that you have a special card third from the face, of course that would mean third from the bottom or the face of the pack, like this. This is a poker-sized deck. Poker cards are 2.5 inches across, as opposed to a bridge-sized card. This is a bridge card. This is only 2 1/4 inches across. Okay, now it's time for a trick break. A perfectly ordinary deck of playing cards. They're all here, they're all different, they're well mixed. In fact, you can have a spectator thoroughly shuffle the deck before you begin this mystery. One card is selected from the pack in the fairest possible way. You'll have to trust me on this. Any card can be selected. I'll just sort of cascade through and take one at random. How about, say, that one, for example? Remember what the card is? I promise I won't look. The spectator can then place the card any place into the deck. They say stop, they toss it in, it's lost, absolutely no control. And even the spectator can shuffle the deck at this point. There's only one way to find it, and that, of course, is to use psychic power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal the cards one at a time face up. I want you to concentrate on your card. When you see the card that you have in mind, just think the word stop. I will read your mind. You ready? Concentrate. Just think stop. Now remember, any card is selected. It's placed any place back into the deck. The spectator thoroughly shuffles the deck. All you do is you deal through one at a time, no sleight of hand, and the spectator is to think stop. In theory, I'll be able to read your mind. Think stop. I hope it hasn't vanished. What was that? I'm sorry, I was distracted. I heard you think something a moment ago. Could it have been in this general area here? Maybe the 4, maybe the king, maybe the 3. It's one of these 3 cards. One of these 3 cards. Concentrate. Concentrate. Ladies and gentlemen, think stop. Believe it or not, this trick is very, very easy to do, and the conditions are extremely fair. I can explain exactly how this trick is done with 3 words. One-way backs. One-way backs. Allow me to demonstrate. This particular deck is a very subtle one-way back. It's called the Bicycle League back. If you look in the middle, you'll see there are 3 wings. One wing is pointing directly towards me. The other 2 are sort of pointing outward. And the setup is to have all of the wings facing in the exact same direction. That's the setup. That means the cards could be thoroughly shuffled with the Hindu shuffle, the overhand shuffle, the riffle shuffle. In fact, strip shuffle or running cuts, it doesn't matter. All of the cards are still facing in the same direction. All you have to do now is have any card selected returned to the deck so that it's facing in the opposite direction. And there are several ways to do this. One way is to do the pressure fan. Say, pick out any card you'd like. The spectator takes the card out. When you close the fan, you turn the deck over end for end. That means when the card goes back into the pack, it's the only card facing in the opposite direction. It's very easy to find. Another method is to hope that you get lucky. In fact, this is what I do very often. I'll have a spectator take any card from the deck, doesn't matter where it's selected from. I say, look at it, pass it around, show it to several other people in the audience. Hopefully, in the handling of the card from person to person, the spectator will turn the card over end for end. If you'd like to be a little more sure, here's a very subtle way that always works. The card is removed from the deck. It's facing in the same direction as the rest of the pack. Then you say, look at your card, remember what it is, and pass it around to everybody around the table. Well, as the card is being passed around the table, by the time it comes back, it's actually facing in the opposite direction. Another method is to simply turn the deck over after the selection has been made. You say, pick out any card you'd like, square up the deck, hold it up high, let everybody see it. You just turn the deck over end for end. Anneman had a very clever method. This is very subtle. Take out any card that you'd like. It's taken from the deck. You say, I'm not going to hold the deck as the card is returned. In fact, sir, would you mind helping me? You take the deck. You hand the deck to a second spectator. That turns it over in the process. Then when the selection is returned into the pack, of course, it's facing in the opposite direction. Very, very clever way to go. There are several different one-way backs. Allow me to show you them one at a time. There are many different types of one-way backs. Some are very, very obvious. Some are very subtle. Let me show you the obvious ones first. That's pretty obvious. If you have a deck of these cards all facing in one direction and you have another one in the opposite direction, even non-magicians would notice the difference. These are all very obvious one-way decks. In fact, this is how I first learned about the one-way back principle. When I was a schoolboy, it was a very standard trick. Of course, these same tricks are much more deceptive when you have a very subtle one-way back. And I have a few of those as well. These are some of the better subtle one-way backs. One of my personal favorites, in fact, this was one of Anneman's favorite. Remember, it's the very center, the 3 wings